Have you ever walked away from a conversation, feeling like you left a piece of yourself behind? Like someone reached inside and quietly stole your energy, your calm, and even your joy. As we get older, every drop of our time and energy becomes more valuable, not because we're fragile, but because we've earned the right to protect our peace. And yet there are people who take advantage of that peace. People who see kindness as a weakness. People who smile while draining the very life out of you. If you're over 60, this video is for you. Not because you need to shut yourself off from the world, but because you deserve to surround yourself with people who lift you up, not wear you down. We're going to talk about 7 types of people older adults should start avoiding. Some of them seem harmless, even friendly, but over time, they can do more damage to your health, your spirit, and your freedom than you realize. Stick with me because this could be the difference between a fulfilling life and one that slowly becomes smaller, lonelier, and more exhausting. Let's begin. Person 1. The crisis chaser. There are people who always have a problem, and somehow it's always your job to fix it. These folks aren't just unlucky, they're addicted to chaos. Their lives are one long emergency: missed bills, sudden illnesses, drama with their kids, fights with their partner, and no matter how often you step in, it never ends. They don't want solutions. They want a stage, and they want an audience. You spend hours on the phone, you drive them to appointments, you rearrange your schedule, and still nothing changes. In fact, the more you help, the worse things seem to get. Why? Because you're not helping, you're enabling. Take Margaret, a 69-year-old widow from Minnesota. She had a friend named Dana who called every week with a new disaster. Margaret, wanting to be supportive, always listened. She gave money, she gave rides, she even let Dana stay in her home more than once. But over time, Margaret realized something chilling. Dana never asked how she was, never remembered her birthday, never offered anything in return, just crisis after crisis. Eventually, Margaret drew a line. She didn't stop caring, but she stopped sacrificing her own health and peace for someone who never took responsibility. It's not cold, it's courageous. Person 2. The compliment thief. This one is tricky because they don't take your money or your time, they steal your self-esteem. They say things like, "Oh, you look nice for your age. You're still living alone. Aren't you scared? Must be nice not having anything to do all day." It sounds like a joke or concern, but really it's control through subtle put-downs. The compliment thief doesn't insult you outright. They undermine you little by little until you start questioning your own worth. And for older adults, that's dangerous, because your confidence is one of your last lines of defense in a world that often ignores you. Eleanor, 72, used to love dressing up for church, but a younger woman in her congregation constantly made comments about her clothes being too youthful. After a few months, Eleanor stopped wearing her favorite outfits. One day, she looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the woman staring back. She realized she'd given someone else the power to rewrite how she saw herself. Now, Eleanor wears what she loves again, because dignity doesn't come from approval, it comes from inside. If someone makes you feel small, quiet, or ashamed for enjoying life, you don't need their company, you need distance. Person 3. The favor farmer. Some people treat your kindness like a crop they can harvest again and again. They start with something small. "Can you watch my dog for the weekend?" Then, "Can you help me move a few boxes?" Then it's rides to the airport, loaning tools, babysitting grandkids for an entire week. Every time you say yes, they ask for more. At first, you're happy to help. You feel needed, it feels good, but one day, you notice you're doing all the giving and they're doing all the taking. And if you ever say no, they make you feel guilty. Or worse, they disappear. That's because the relationship wasn't built on mutual care. It was built on your usefulness. Meet Joseph, 75, from Arizona. He loved spending time with his adult daughter and her family. But over the years, the visits became one long list of chores: fixing the sink, running errands, watching the kids so she and her husband could go out. When Joseph got tired and said no, she accused him of being selfish. That broke his heart until he realized something deeper. She loved what he did more than who he was. Now, he still sees his daughter, but with limits. Visits are shorter. Chores are optional. His dignity is non-negotiable. You're allowed to help others, but not if it's at the cost of your energy, your time, and your value. Person 4, the nostalgia anchor. We all love a good memory, but some people use the past as a weapon. They say things like, "You used to be more fun. You never used to complain so much. Back in the day, you didn't need help." Instead of seeing who you are now, they chain you to who you were then. And when you're trying to grow, to change, to set boundaries, they remind you of your old self to keep you stuck. It's emotional blackmail through memory. This happens a lot in families. Maybe you were the strong one, the provider, or the fixer. And now that you're aging, you're tired. But they still expect the same old version of you. You have the right to evolve. Paul, 70, used to be the family mechanic. Everyone brought their car to him. But after back surgery, he couldn't keep crawling under vehicles. Still, his nephews kept calling until Paul finally said, "That chapter of my life is over." It wasn't easy, but it was honest, and it gave him space to write a new chapter, one that didn't involve lifting engines, but lifting his own spirit. You are not a museum exhibit. You're a living, changing, evolving person. Anyone who refuses to accept that shouldn't have front row access to your life. Person 5, the energy vampire. Some people don't ask for anything material, but after a conversation with them, you feel like you've run a marathon with no medal at the end. They talk non-stop about problems and never solutions. They dwell on negativity. They gossip. They complain about everything and everyone and never ask how you're doing. That's an energy vampire. And they're especially dangerous in old age because they wear you down slowly. You don't notice it at first, but over time, your joy fades. Your optimism sours. You start feeling older than you are. Gloria, 67, had a coffee group of 4 friends. But one woman, Alice, always dominated the conversation. Her health, her children, her drama, every single time. Gloria started dreading those coffee mornings. Until she realized, I don't have to attend a meeting that drains my soul. So, she stopped and started a walking group with 2 other women who talked about books, gardens, and dreams, not just disasters. You get to choose who enters your emotional home. And if someone keeps stomping mud on your carpet, it's time to lock the door. Person 6, the silent competitor. This one stings. You share a success, a painting you finished, a class you joined, a trip you planned, and instead of celebrating, they try to one-up you. Or worse, they dismiss it. They say, "Oh, I did something like that years ago," or "That's cute. I've been doing that for a while." These people aren't happy for you. They're threatened by you. And while it might not seem toxic at first, over time, it chips away at your motivation to try new things. Older adults often hear the message that it's too late to start anything new. So when you do and someone tries to dim your light, it hurts. It's subtle sabotage. Robert, 71, took up watercolor painting after retirement. He was proud of his progress, but his old friend kept saying, "Well, my cousin's an actual artist, and his stuff is in galleries." Eventually, Robert stopped sharing his work until he realized, why let one insecure person shrink your joy? Now, he posts his art online, gets encouragement from strangers, and feels more alive than he has in years. Your joy is not a competition. If someone makes it feel like one, they don't deserve a front row seat to your victories. Person 7, the boundary breaker. And finally, the most dangerous person of all, the one who knows your limits and pushes them anyway. You say no, they ignore it. You ask for space, they guilt you. You explain your needs, they make it about them. These people don't respect your time, your peace, or your voice. They only respect what they can take. And here's the hardest part, they're often people you love. But love without respect is not love, it's control. Cynthia, 69, had a sister who called her every day, multiple times a day, despite knowing Cynthia was in physical therapy. When she asked for space, her sister said, "You're just being selfish." But Cynthia stood firm. She turned off her phone during recovery, and she healed faster, stronger, and with her self-respect intact. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are doors with locks to choose who comes in and when. You deserve relationships that honor the life you've built, not bulldoze through it. So, if any of these people sound familiar, don't panic. Don't feel guilty. Just remember this: your time is precious. Your energy is sacred. Your peace is non-negotiable. You've spent a lifetime helping others. Now, it's time to help yourself. Surround yourself with people who pour into you, not just pull from you. Because after 60, you're not just growing older, you're growing wiser. And wisdom knows when to let go.